Hey guys, it's Henry with Back of Valley Truck. Today we're gonna do a video on hooking and unhooking your travel trailer. So we did a video on fifth wheels a couple weeks ago, you guys saw. Now we're gonna tackle travel trailers. They're a lot different than each other. You might think, well, they're both campers. They should be the same or similar. They're completely different. So we're gonna go through every step that it takes to unhook and hook up your trailer successfully. Now we're gonna talk about hooking up your trailer. You might be a veteran, you've done this 100 times. Maybe you're a newbie and you've never touched a trailer before. I'm gonna make sure that you know every step on hooking up your trailer successfully so you know what you're doing. All right, so first things first, you're gonna wanna make sure that your hitch is in and that the pin is locked. Always make sure that pin is in a spot. You never wanna guess, you always wanna know. Now that the hitch is, you're backed up to your trailer, you're near your ball, you're gonna take your weight distribution bars. They look like this. Most of them across the industry look similar to this. You might have a different hitch. It'll be a similar process, but if you have any questions, just give us a call. So you're gonna take this end of the bar. It's a little covered in grease, but that's never a bad thing. You're gonna take it, you're gonna insert it at the bottom of the hitch here, and you're gonna look for that pin to click. So you wanna make sure that that pin goes in and out when you put those bars up. That makes sure that those bars are locked in place and that they're not gonna drop out. So now you're gonna swing them back, and now we're gonna start by actually lowering the trailer onto the ball. As you're lowering the hitch down, I'm just gonna remind you guys, if it's the 100th time you hooked up the trailer, if it's the first time you hooked up the trailer, make sure that you grease your trailer hitch. You never wanna have that thing dry. It can create noise, it can be loud. You just wanna make sure that it's running smoothly and it's all lubricated. All right, so now that the trailer has been lowered onto the hitch, you're gonna lock your coupler here, locked in place, and then you might use a pin, you might use a lock. I always like to keep a lock just because you never know who's out there. So we're gonna make sure that that's locked up and that is secure. It's not secure. Locked up and secure. So now, next step, once your coupler's hooked up, now you're gonna do the weight distribution with hitch. Now, the best method is to go to a flat level surface parking lot. If you buy the hitch through us, we can demonstrate this in the parking lot and help you figure it out. If you're doing it yourself, if you're a DIY, then you're going to flat level parking lots, neighborhood Walmart, big Walmarts, Targets, stuff like that. Go in there where nobody's around, flat level surface, and you're gonna wanna jack your trailer up until the truck is level with the trailer. So everything looks level. No weight is on the truck, but it looks level. That's how you're gonna adjust the hitch height. After the first time, you'll be pretty well versed on how to do this. The first time is always gonna be tricky though, because you don't know what level to go to. And what I mean by that is on these bars, you're gonna have these chains at the end of them. Now, I know what this trailer takes hooked to this truck to make it level. Yours might be different. It might take a couple tries to figure it out. But the best way to hook them up is you're gonna lift the trailer and you're gonna lift the rear end of your truck. Go as high as possible. You always wanna make sure, be watching stuff. If stuff starts to move, if stuff starts to move around a little bit, you're not too sure, put some more wheel chocks. Make sure your truck always has that parking brake. I mentioned that later, but make sure that that parking brake is locked, your truck's in park. Make sure you've got wheel chocks on your trailer and you'll be safe. So you're gonna wanna lift it up to where the rear end of your truck, the rear axle is having weight lifted off of it, and the tongue's gonna take that pressure. Now, what that's doing basically is you're lifting this point of the bar closer to this bracket. Now that's gonna act as the pulling force up, like the wheelbarrow demonstration I'm gonna talk about later. That's what that force is gonna do. So with my trailer, I use the 3 end links are left off the chain. So I'm gonna use the 4th link and it's gonna go right on those bars. I gotta go up a little bit more. So now that the trailer's been lifted up high enough, you're gonna take this bar. This bar is very important. Make sure you never lose it. I keep it in a safe location. You can keep it inside your truck. You can keep it inside your trailer. Doesn't matter, just as long as you know where it is. So in order to hook these bars up, you're gonna take your safety pin out. You're gonna latch onto this top bar. This lower bar is gonna be where your chain goes, and this bar up here is where it's gonna lock up top. So you always wanna make sure that you're in this position with the bar. So you're gonna lower it down. And like I said, I use 3 links off the end of the chain. I'm gonna grab that 4th link. I'm gonna set it right on the bar there. And then once the latch is on there, you're gonna lift up and you're gonna lock it in place. Make sure you always put the safety pin in place. So now that that side's on, we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay. So it's the same process on the other side. You're gonna wanna make sure that the bar that you're holding goes on this end. That way you can leverage this up and down. This spike is gonna be used to lock the bracket in place once it's up. And this one on the lower side is what you're gonna put your chain on. So same process on the other side. I use 3 links off the end of the chain. So that means that the number 4th link is the one I'm gonna put on the actual bar itself. So I'm gonna lower my bracket down and lift up. Those noises are normal. This is transferring quite a bit of weight between your truck and your trailer. So it's gonna make a little bit of noise. Don't be scared of it. And always make sure put your safety pin back in its slot. All right, so now that the weight distribution bars are hooked up, now this is another point I'm gonna point out. This truck is equipped with airbags. That's why I'm sitting it a little high right now. This is gonna be the step as you're lowering your rig. If you do have airbags, this is where you're gonna wanna make sure that there's air in the bags. You never wanna put any kind of load on those bags without having air inside of them. So now that my bags, I keep them at 10 PSI when I'm not towing, and then when I am towing, it varies a lot. My truck sits around 60 PSI when I have this trailer on it. So we're gonna lower the trailer down. Now, as you're lowering, these bars are pulling up, like I said, and transferring weight onto the front axle of your truck and the axles on your trailer. That is the whole idea behind the weight distribution hitch. All right, so now that the weight is fully on the truck now, our jack is all the way retracted, so we don't want to snag that on anything. Now we're gonna grab the sway control arm, and we're gonna put that on the hitch now. So these are real simple. I'm gonna show you up close here. The way these things work is they slide in and out. That sliding force is what counteracts the swaying of your trailer when you're going down the road. Now, you're gonna just using this bolt, and over time you'll figure this out. If you need less or if you need more, you're gonna tighten this bolt, and then when you go to put it on, like I'm about to demonstrate, you'll just twist this on, and that's gonna tighten up and activate your sway control. So these are very easy to put on. You're just gonna get down here. You're gonna slide the one ball is gonna go on the frame there. The other one's gonna go right on the one on your hitch there. Then you're gonna take your 2 pins. They look like that. You're gonna slide them in. It can be tricky sometimes. There's a lot going on up here on these trailers. Slide them in, lock it in. Same thing on the front here. Exact same process. Make sure it's locked in. And then now, like I said before, you've got this arm here. This is loose right now. This isn't gonna do anything. You're gonna wanna tighten this up before you hit the road. You're gonna tighten it until it gets tight. And now that has activated your sway control. Now that that's hooked up, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do the electrical cable and our safety chains and our breakaway. So now that our sway control arm is on, now we can start to hook up the little things we gotta do. So first is gonna be the safety chains. Now always make sure, if you've ever towed a trailer before, you know this, but if you've never, I'm just gonna touch on it. Always cross your chains. And the reason behind that is, if this ball or any of this mechanism were to ever come loose and these two were to become detached from each other, this is gonna be your last line of defense. And what you don't want is that trailer dropping and sliding on the asphalt. So what crossing the chains does is it provides a little bed for that hitch to catch on, to where therefore you're not dragging on the asphalt. And that can cause some severe damage to your trailer. So you always wanna make sure to cross your chains. And that goes for any size trailer, even if you got a little tiny 8-foot U-Haul, or if you got this big 34-foot travel trailer, always make sure to cross your chains. Now, another important step, never forget, is your breakaway cable. Some guys have fancy retractable ones, other ones just have the standard one. This is what's gonna come standard on your trailer. I just used a little pin, slide it through, and you never wanna have these connected in any way to your safety chains. You're always gonna have this on a different connection point to your bumper. That way, in case this thing comes loose, these safety chains are gonna catch the trailer, and if they're connected to this thing, this is never gonna get a chance to work. And what this does is, if this, in case of emergency, like I said, if this truck becomes detached from this trailer at any point while you're moving, this cable is gonna lock the trailer brakes. That way you're not rolling down the highway at 55 miles an hour with nothing stopping it. So this is another one of those key safety devices while you're towing. just twist that on there like that. All right, so now that we have the safety chains hooked up, now our breakaway cable, now never forget electrical cable. I always recommend if you're towing all the time, maybe you don't need this, but it's always a good thing to have. Get a little bit of electrical grease and make sure that you keep these plugs greased. Sometimes you never want to have it get corroded or anything and you'll lose connection. This is your vital thing. Your lights come through this, your brakes come through this. If you're towing in the mountains, the brakes are the last thing you want to lose. So always make sure to take care of your plugs and always inspect them before you go on a trip. If by chance on your way in you didn't notice it had come off, it's been dragging on the ground, it's damaged, a wire's loose, you never know. So you want to make sure that you very carefully examine these before you leave for your trip so that you always know that you're safe and you always know that you're working. All right, so now that the truck is fully hooked up to the trailer, we got our weight distribution bars on, we got our sway control on, we've got the safety chains on, we've got our breakaway, we've got our electrics hooked up, our jack is all the way up. If this is your first or second time doing this, maybe you're new, you might want to create a checklist, either on your phone or on a paper. Make sure you have something that you can physically check off, or if you know what you're doing, then it's probably in your mind, it's nailed in there. But if this is your first time, just make sure you never want to leave something at your campground. You never want to wonder while you're going down the road, did I do that step? You never want to know that. You always want to be confident while towing. So now that all of our stuff is hooked up, our last step is going to be to pick up our blocks. I always keep mine in the bed of the truck. Nice and easy and simple. All right, so real quick, I want to make sure we're all hooked up. Our battery or our electrical cable is hooked up, safety chains, all that. If you notice here, my breakaway cable is hanging down a little low. Now, this thing, if it gets snagged on anything, a branch, anything on the road, any road hazard, pieces of tires, there's all sorts of stuff out on that road. If anything snags this and that cable gets pulled out of its socket, your trailer brakes are gonna lock up, and that's gonna be scary. It's gonna be something that you're not gonna expect, and it's gonna come out of nowhere. So you always wanna make sure that this cable is, one, free of movement, so it's not gonna get snagged on any of these bars. All this stuff is rotating a lot when you're turning. These bars are gonna sway, the hitch is gonna pivot. You wanna make sure that that safety cable is free of any kind of obstacles that it can get snagged on. But you also wanna make sure that it's not hanging too low. So one thing I like to do is, on all these trailers, you'll come with these pins that hold the foot of your jack up. So what I like to do is take that pin, and most of them are gonna have these arms on them, if it'll cooperate with me. This is real life, people. This is what goes on. All right, so now that pin's back in, so these are gonna have these little wire hooks on them. So what I like to do is just take the breakaway cable, feed it through there, and lock it. That way this cable can still move, it's still got plenty of movement, but it's tucked up under there, and that way it can't get snagged on anything. All right, so now that our trailer's all hooked up, our last step is gonna be to go pick up our wheel chocks. Never wanna leave these things behind. Me personally, I have run over a couple of these things. They're not fun, so always make sure to pick them up so you never leave them behind. Okay, so first step on unhooking your trailer is gonna be placing all your blocks down. You're gonna wanna make sure that your wheels are chalked and that you've got the blocks underneath your jacks. So let's go do that now. Okay, now you're gonna come up to the front. And little key tip here, try to get the biggest block you can. I've got this one, I made it out of pieces of plywood stacked together. That just helps distribute the weight of the trailer along a greater surface. If you're on grass or something, or you're in any kind of soft environment at all, those jacks will sink because there's quite a bit of weight on them. So having the most surface area possible for your jack foot to sit on is really good. So also, just because you have that one big block under there, doesn't mean that should be the only thing that's under there. You always want to try to get as least amount of tongue jack out of your trailer as possible. And what I mean by that is this jack's going to come down, and it's going to take a while, but it'll come down. The amount of jack, the more jack that's actually released out of that bottom of the trailer, the more your trailer is going to sway back and forth. Now, you might say, well, I've got stabilizing jacks on my trailer, so therefore it doesn't count to me. Every little bit counts, so just put some extra blocks under there and keeps it from rocking around a little bit. All right, so now that our jack is on the ground and we've started to take the weight a little bit off the trailer, we're gonna start disconnecting our accessories. And what I mean by that is like your safety chains, your electrical cable, and your breakaway cable. For weight distribution hitches or travel trailers in general, you might have a system kind of like mine that has a sway control. I'm gonna show you real quick how to take that sway control arm off real quick. Okay. So you're gonna come in right here on these things. It's gonna see it say on and off. You're just gonna twist this arm off. It's gonna release the pressure on that internal bar, and then all you have to do, remove the pins and take it off. And take it off. Place that there for now. Now that the sway control arm is out of the way, we can start to disconnect our safety chains, our breakaway cable, and our electrical cable. All right, so now that we have disconnected our safety chains, our electrical cable, and our breakaway cable, now we're gonna start to take the weight off of the truck. So with weight distribution hitches, they kind of act like a wear barrel. I know you guys have done some work in your yard, you maybe been around those before. You know that the wear barrel only has a single point. That is this point right here. And you hold those two by 2 bars, and you use it to pivot side to side. It gives you stability, and it makes you a lot easier to move those loads. So that's basically what these bars are. They're basically 2 bars that pull up on the hitch here, and that spreads weight out to the front axle of your truck and the rear axle of your trailer. And that takes a little bit of the sag out of towing. These things come with a lot of tongue weight, and that's kind of what you use to counteract that. So in order to take it off safely, you're gonna lift the jack pretty high, higher than you normally would. This is why you always want to make sure that your wheels are chocked and that you always make sure you're on flat, level ground. And if you're not, make sure those wheels are chocked. All right, so now that the weight is off the truck and it's on the jack, now it's time to undo our weight distribution bars. So with the way the weight distribution bars work is they basically pull up on the hitch, and what that does is it spreads weight out on your back axles of your trailer and the front axle on your truck. Now, in order to safely remove these, you're gonna use this bar. This bar is gonna come in the kit with your weight distribution hitch when you buy it. You never wanna lose this, because otherwise, if you're hooked up, you're screwed if you don't have it, and you can't use the bars if you don't have it to hook it up. So I always keep mine right here, safe location. You can keep it inside your trailer, inside your truck, doesn't matter, whatever works for you, just make sure you know where that thing is. So now we've got our bar. You're gonna remove the safety pin right here. That keeps the bars up in that locked position. Next, you're gonna take this bar is just a normal standard steel pipe. You're gonna put it on the end here, and you're gonna drop those chains down and put it back up. And you never wanna lose these safety pins, so put them back every time. So now that that bar's off, I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the same side, and we're gonna go to the next step. All right, so on the passenger side, it's the exact same thing. Remove the safety pin, set that aside, take your bar, put it on, lower it, put it back up. Easy and simple. All right, so now that we have the weight distribution bars disconnected and the weight is now on the jack, now you're gonna lower the trailer back down. Do not try to disconnect that coupler right now. You will either drop your truck or it won't let go. So you wanna make sure that you let the weight back down on your trailer or on your truck actually, so that weight doesn't cause any accidents. And you don't have to go all the way down just until you notice that the trailer clicks like that. So now I put a lock on mine. You guys might have a pin, but I'm just gonna remove the safety lock on the trailer hitch. All right, so now that we got our safety lock off, now it's time to actually disconnect the trailer. So you're gonna pull the pin there. That's gonna release the truck from your rig. Now you can lift up your trailer to clear it from that ball. Another key thing, when you park your trailer, always make sure your parking brake on your truck is engaged. That's just a safety feature. Even if you're on flat ground, it doesn't matter. You don't know what could happen. You want to make sure that you're staying safe. All right, so now that the ball is cleared of the coupler, you can pull your truck forward and start prepping your trailer for your weekend. All right, so today for this demonstration, I am using the Easy Lift weight distribution hitch. This is a name that has been around for decades. Everybody knows it in the weight distribution game. Very easy to use, very simple. If you guys have any questions or anything about them, give us a call, we can help you out. And then also, I just wanted to touch real quick. Like I said before, these trailers have quite a bit of tongue weight. Sometimes our trucks sag a little bit, that's all right. You don't wanna be that guy on the road that's got his truck way back down and his trailer pointed towards the ground. You don't wanna be that guy. So one thing that I equipped on my truck is a set of airbags. So I have the Load Lifter 5000s on this truck. It's an airbag. I've got the shredder valve right on the back of the truck here, right above my 7-pin connection. You can take any form of air compressor. I have an onboard air system that's not hooked up to the bag, so all I have to do is just take a little air hose, fill that up. You can range from 5 to 100 PSI in the bags. There are great options for those trucks that are a little bit lighter duty, but you still got the pulling capacity. One thing that I want to stress is that airbags do not increase your payload capacity. Your sticker on your door is still going to be the end-all be-all of what your trailer can, or what your truck can tow. Make sure that you read your owner's manuals. Make sure you talk to your salesman. If you're brand new to the RV game, there's a lot of numbers that you need to know. Just make sure that you know your numbers and you know your truck, and that way you won't be caught on the side of the road. Wanted to thank you guys for watching the video and taking the time out of your day. If you guys have any questions about towing, travel trailers, anything, give us a call and we'll be able to help you out. Thank you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.